Cool. All right. Do you want to just do you again real quick, Joe? Let's just do it from
Oh
the
yeah,
top.
I'm Joe. I've done what did I say last time? I often attend these meetings and I've been working with CTF for several months and stuff. Luke, go.
Sick. Yeah. So I'm Luke Flegg, one of the co-founders, based in Brighton and well-involved core team. I'm taking minutes. Joe's chairing. That'll do.
Hello, I'm Theo. I've been involved with CTF for a couple of weeks, few weeks now. Doing videography in general, helping out.
I'm Alex. I've been involved in CTF sort of for a few years. I write software. That'll do.
Nice.
And we've got some
Leah.
people in the... There we go.
Hello.
Leah Felton.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Leah.
Hello.
I don't know how long I've been part of this.
Yeah.
A few weeks? I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm a student.
You got involved through Jack Pascoe, huh? And then,
Yeah.
so you saw the wall of ideas and then came to a social that ended up being just me and you, our smallest social ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Cool. We've got one more. Well, potentially two more. Ewan, why don't you introduce yourself? We're going to be here for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not here for very long. Ewan. I'm at school. I don't really do anything for a living right now. I work in a cafe. That's about it. But I've been involved with ChangeTheFuture for...
Yeah, you came to a meeting a little while
Yeah, I
ago.
came to a meeting a little while ago, and yeah. Thanks, Joe, for involving me in the process. It's great.
Cool. And sorry, Tenerife. We've met. I think I've seen you on the internet.
Cool. Yeah.
It's just
Daniel here. Currently, I guess the thing that's taken the biggest amount of time for me is a project called Kendra Initiative, and we're building kind of a distributed architecture for musicians to manage music makers to manage their metadata. In fact, creators to manage their rights metadata and interact with each other, and really just trying to make it a peer-to-peer type system, but actually interlinks into businesses. And we've got a grant from the UK government to build some of it, and I'm just about to do a massive jump off the cliff promotion, because I've been doing it 20 years, and if I don't do it now, then I never will. There you go.
exciting stuff. Exciting. It's wicked. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next thing.
Jem's in the toilet on the phone. He may join us in a bit.
Yeah, we'll also be joined by Cam Tyler. He can introduce himself when he gets there. We got an opportunity to share anything interesting, creative. Anything interesting that might have happened this week that someone might want to share. It doesn't need to be that relevant. Nothing coming to mind. We had Luke's birthday.
Oh.
That was fun.
I got old.
Yeah. 29 gold. One single Luke.
That's old.
How old?
And that was good.
Yeah. I was learning recently about something that I think is interesting, which is I've been exploring direct democracies, because in my opinion, 99% of the time that humans use the word democracy, they're often, without realizing, possibly meaning representative democracy, voting for a person who actually votes on issues. Whereas actually there's two main kinds of democracy, the other one being direct democracy, like in mine and Alex's democratic school. And they're very, very, very rare. Like 99% of democracies are representative. And yeah, so I'm really interested in trying to find more examples of direct democracies, especially with groups bigger than like a handful of people, you know. And I was looking a little bit at Switzerland, and how they use still representational democracy at the same time, but they do definitely have a big use of direct democracy. So people can create popular initiatives, they're called, and also vote on ideas that are made by the government as well. And there's like 3 levels: local. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing I'm looking into at the moment.
That sounds really interesting. It does. Switzerland, you say?
Yeah, Switzerland. Although it's funny because there's still only about like just a handful of proposals a year on a national level that's coming from the people. So it feels like it's not being sort of exploited. Maybe it's not as good as it could be. Or, yeah. I don't know.
Still, it's nice and for it. It must be interesting to create conversation at least. Cool. Can I move on to matters arising? This would be anything that needs to be last minute added to the agenda, or any technical issues that might present themselves. If anyone needs to leave any particular time, if there's any disturbance that might happen to the meeting.
Can I ask where the agenda is? Do I find it easily?
Yeah, you should be.
It's just linked in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on the Facebook group and the Google event page and in this conversation.
Awesome.
Cool. I see. Yeah. So if there are no technical issues that might arise, then should we move on to the next one? I see there's something put in, I assume, by Leah. Happy to provide how do you expect this platform to really work? In terms of an exploration of how the web platform would really work, I might suggest that is a longer conversation, which is probably best explained by Luke, or probably by a link to an appropriate Trello link that would explain in a bit more detail how it would work.
Oh, wait. Hang on. That's I put that point in there, but I've just realised that me and Leah both have the same initials.
Yeah, I haven't written any of these.
Oh, okay. So in which case, it was that
I was meaning shit. That was like a Trello thing. I don't know. I think I put that on there because it felt like an important thing, and I thought it might be nice to talk about it together. So yeah, I wanted to kind of share this description of how the web platform will work, which kind of covers quite a lot of stuff about the project. It'll probably, I propose I read this and then check in with people if they want to carry on. But I feel like it's quite a big sort of summary of Change the Future in its approach, which I feel like could be used for lots of different things, from funding to whatever.
Can I ask, how long is the description? Is it an elevator pitch or a long elevator pitch, or in your estimation?
4 minutes altogether to speak out.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
will 4 minutes.
I'm kidding. I won't be timing. Go ahead.
I'll be timing.
Okay. Trello on ask Change the Future anything. How do you expect this platform to really work? By you asking questions like that, by us answering questions like this, and then adding on to that, by you joining us and making the strategy for the platform better, by you not waiting for answers but helping to create answers. This is what we've got so far. No one cares about Change the Future apart from me, my mum, possibly you. We tell lots of people about it. We make the present our primary goal. Above all else, we have fun and find an emotionally sustainable, financially sustainable way to enjoy being part of this project. We avoid putting all our eggs in one basket and using an approach of if we don't achieve X amount of members by this date, we've failed, or X amount of volunteer hours or YouTube video views or proposals for improving Brighton, which we've collected from Brightonians using Wall of Ideas, or if we don't get 36 grand for our double-decker bus, we've failed. This project cannot fail if we detach ourselves from only having arbitrary goals we set for the future, which later we might want to change. The project cannot fail if we attach ourselves instead to our approach, not what we do, but rather the way that we do it. The way I'm answering this question in a space where anyone in the world can see it and comment on it as well, taking the questions deeper in exciting new directions. I asked this question and run it by ChangeTheFuture. So everyone who stepped up from simply being curious to actually helping shape this project and drive it forward and go, yep, I like that, save it. Or sounds a bit naff, can we try something else? Next is not linear. A project like this doesn't suddenly magically get a shiny badge from the council or the government saying, well done, you've got 1,000 times the voting power of an individual now. Or happy birthday, here's your invite to Parliament to change democracy in the UK. We will gradually, step by step, day by day, gather more and more legitimacy. It's not just politicians and other authorities who need to recognise the legitimacy of this project to be an increasingly viable way to shape our cities, our schools and organisations. It's us. And we must believe it, recognise it first, because it's our vision. We must inspire others, show them how much we're committed to this. If legitimacy isn't granted by the people and groups most influential in all of our communities, eventually we'll stop asking for it. We can withdraw the invitation and realise that together we're very capable of overthrowing an ignorant, arrogant dictatorship and simply self-organising. We can do this only when some of us are police, are business owners, cleaners, youth workers, musicians, the real resources in the community, the real wealth, the real power. This is when we realise politician is simply a word written on a plaque on someone's door. Mayor is just a badge on someone's suit. So these are some things that will give us legitimacy, which I believe have every opportunity to far exceed the legitimacy of e-petitions, which already have proven to significantly affect hundreds of local and global decisions for many years. One, we create a very accessible space, accessible in person and online, easy to understand and navigate. Two, we collect detailed proposals from people. The more developed the ideas are, the more realistic they are, the more powerful they become. Three, measure agreeability of proposals. How many people actually want this new car park compared to those who don't, or who have instead voted for development of the community garden or shared bike scheme? Four, target, go to the right place, to the right people. Who do we need to convince? And if they ignore a proposal that shows 97% of hundreds of people in the community all agree on a proposal for a new cycle lane, it will be painfully obvious that this politician is not trying to represent us, which is all I learn how to do their job for them alongside the rest of my community. Five, evaluate. If we don't reflect on our actions we take, we can't learn from our mistakes or successes. We need to evaluate the impact on our community. If in a school, for example, we get rid of school uniforms, what have the effects been? What even needs to be in the evaluation? We all decide this together. And finally, collaborate with other groups. Daniel Harris. Organisations, movements. We already have so many parties waiting to be our allies. Let's practice what we preach and create time and spaces to deeply explore how we can support each other and act like a catalyst for one another. Which projects are you part of who we can work with to bring recognition and legitimacy to this new way of inviting people to question, shape and drive our communities forward into a better future? I can't create a solution for you. We can't create solutions for others. We may think we can, but really at best, fish. What use is that when the fish run out, when their line breaks? I'd rather create an inviting space designed for people to develop their skills in asking better questions and exploring different answers with each other. Should I eat fish? How do you make a fishing rod with limited resources? How do we avoid overfishing tuna? How do I create time in my life to work on incredible projects that might just offer every opportunity I could ever dream for in being part of a real positive change making when I've got reports to write, bills to pay, and really all I want to do is relax. Why haven't I asked this question out loud? When, where, to whom should I ask it? And should I stop this paragraph?
It's good. It's really nice. It's very eloquent.
Is it written down somewhere?
Yeah, we've got
it's on Trello now.
Trello.
Okay, cool.
It's in the agenda.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you doing it, Jeff?
Oh yeah, okay, I can copy it over.
I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll change the future anything.
There it is.
Cool.
Beat me, you bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really nice. I think it explains really well how like Change the Future works. I'm not sure if it explains what I thought your question meant, but like in terms of like how the platform works. But I suppose that's it explains how the movement works, doesn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
It explains really nicely.
Yeah. I personally felt.
Can I ask a question? I've got loads of questions actually.
Yeah.
Luke, if you were stuck in an elevator with Guy, who had £1 billion in his pocket and he was just itching to get rid of it, what would you say to him? And you're only going up 8 floors. I mean, I know this is the classic thing. Everyone keeps on telling me this, but
I'd say Change the Future is about creating a new kind of space that doesn't exist right now, that brings together key influential decision makers with the people in a community who are affected by those decisions.
I'd like to posit something. Thank you. I'd like to I've been playing with this idea of what's the best thing that's happened to the human race in the last 50 years. And
hip-hop?
All I could think of was the internet. And then I thought, well, what's the internet? Okay, I'm jumping over the fact that I would actually poll people, but I think the answer would be an open protocol. And yet, if an open protocol has been the best thing that's happened to the human race in the last 50 years, I'm not asking you to change your project here. I'm just putting this in there because I'm just like, what? How many people have ever thought about, my God, we should be discovering what open protocols are, we should be making open protocols, and we should be building them. How many people you walk down the street, how many people even know that? And yet, that is the best thing that's happened to the human race in the last 50 years, an open protocol. And how many people know what it is, and how many people are actually working on actually building them? Anyway.
I think summarize an open protocol in your own words, just for people who,
an open protocol is basically a description of a messaging, of a language. It's a description of a language where, in fact, what we're speaking is English, and that's an open protocol. It allows us to communicate because we all assign meanings to the words, and when computers have a language that they can all speak, means just like the internet, they can speak to each other and understand what each of them are saying. And so when you send HTML across the wires, a computer at the other end can render it. I mean, that's what's happening here, and that's how we can see each other and stuff like that. And because the video has a format. Formats are protocols in a sense. And I guess what fires me up is the fact that we could protocolize everything that we're talking about. And the amazing thing when we have a protocol is that it massively expands the marketplace. Just look at MIDI in terms of music. Look at TCP/IP and HTML and HTTP and all of these things that are built on top of the internet stack. It's not a space, it's just an understanding that when I say something, you can interpret it and you can understand what it means. So we can have applications, servers, all built by different people, all different hardware, different times. In the last 20 years, everything is still speaking TCP/IP. Incredible, absolutely incredible, and it creates a space, but it's a very distributed space. It's a very fluid space. It's the internet. It's like no one actually owns it completely. So anyway, I just think I guess in this conversation, I understand, and I do it too, build something tangible as well, but also have this view. I think the idea of building a space now, whenever I come into a group that is talking about building space, I will posit the idea that build a space, but make sure you build an open protocol as well, because that will assist the total community and will be beyond ourselves, and it will create an environment where everyone can do this.
Yeah, I totally concur. I think that's kind of addressed specifically in the first part of your statement here, Luke. I think I think that Daniel's right. I think that perhaps there is a more concise way to say that, in a way that would appeal to both people who have an interest in revising our current democratic process, and probably just in terms of workflow, in the way in which we work is a way that could work very efficiently on a larger scale, and it does kind of mirror how companies work. I was wondering if you could, if there was a way you could put it.
Sorry, man.
No, go ahead.
Still talking?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it looks to me like a lift sharing. I think I remember talking to Daniel Harris about lift sharing websites, and how I just want to go to London tomorrow morning and there's 20 different websites that I can search for my journey on, and I'm only going to check one, maybe two of them. 2 or 3 of those websites I haven't checked, maybe don't even know about, have the perfect lift. Like it's less important to create a new, more beautiful lift sharing website. That's quite useful, because then maybe lots of people will use that because it's all slick and shiny. But as I think I'm agreeing with Daniel, that like what you could create more beautiful is an open protocol that for the rest of our entire history we can potentially use to connect all of the lift sharing websites, so they can all share each other's databases, and they basically just become different interfaces for the same information that's freely shared between them.
Yes, but I think this leads really nicely on to our next point, and I'd like to move on to it. Alex PV, talking about the web platform, with like an update on it as well, and a discussion about what a minimal viable product would be, and how much interest there is from, I'm guessing, other programmers in pushing that forward. Am I interpreting that right?
Well, I mean, before really involving programmers programming, what we need to do is figure out, we talked about this quite some time ago, but what data we want to throw around, and perhaps work this out by designing some interfaces.
I'm really sorry to jump in. I really want to have clarity on finishing points before we move on, and I think maybe we have already, but I'm working out for minutes. Is it fair to say that we've heard what Daniel said and want to echo the importance in Change the Future of wanting to create the space we're creating, but do it with an open protocol at the same time? Because I think that's quite an important thing to record, that is our approach and belief.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to. I thought that was part of the basic ethos of Change the Future. Is there any disagreement with that?
Oh yeah, it just feels like a big thing. Just check it. Yeah. Cool.
Well, that was part of why I was going to ask Alice about was from the standpoint of designing a viable product for Change the Future. Do you think it's important to come from a standpoint of devising the interface first, or first perhaps assessing what in the early stages a web platform would be capable of doing? Because a lot of the interface designs that we've talked about have been incredibly complex, and very dense in features. You're saying an interface would be a good starting point.
I mean, you could start with the data or the interface, but you kind of need both. You can have one following the other. I generally prefer to drive my interface from the data, but I get the impression that might be harder to do in this situation. I guess basically I'm up for having a play around and programming something up, but I'd like to discuss it with other people who are interested in the same thing happening, and preferably somewhat experienced already.
I
To
tend
see what exactly you want to build. What's that, sir?
the way I tend to work
Daniel,
is, yeah, the way I tend to work personally, because I'm a very visual person, is think about what does it look like, and I describe that to my developers, and I get them to build it, and I say, look, just put in some buttons there. It won't do anything for the moment, but it's just so I can get to the next step. And it's almost like my route, because I'm cash low. I say, put a button in there. I'll then go out to some people and see if they'll pay for it to get built or something, you know. So it's kind of that kind of methodology. I've got a system that is kind of like mostly not working, but there's little bits of it that work really well, and then lots of fake buttons and lots of fake screens, and it's kind of, that's how I've been building stuff personally. But some of it is then I reckon what will happen at one point, we'll just tear the whole lot down and build up properly. But it depends. I guess it does depend on who's the audience for the prototype as you're building it. Because if you are trying to get money, like I am trying to get money, then I've been rushing to build something that looks kind of presentable, but perhaps doesn't work, and I can fake it in videos, because I'm not going to give them demo accounts yet. You know, but say, look, this is the amazing thing it does. So that might be. I'd personally be interested in seeing, working on, and building, because that's what I'm doing anyway. It's because Change the Future, the kind of concept, a lot of it tallies with what I'm trying to do with World Peace Now and with Kendra and various things like that anyway. And so and I like working in teams. That's why I've stuck with just coming and talking, being within the group. So yeah, so I'm up for building, visual workflows, even if it is total mock-up. And but I want to do it in a team, and I want to do it on using collaborative software if it's Google Draw or something like that we can agree on that we'll use. Or some other system that is probably Alex, that might be more programmatic. I don't care, but that would give us an easy interface, but wouldn't necessarily have to work. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said Google Draw is absolutely fine to begin with. We can switch to other things later if we need to, but it's an instant collaborative drawing program, so great.
Cool.
I'm up for learning that, if that's useful.
Yeah, great.
You can use PowerPoint.
Cool.
Great.
It's fantastic. So, would you be up for assisting in that process then?
I'd definitely be up for working in a team. Yes. I won't take. I will contribute my own ideas within a team. I'm in about 15 other projects. And yesterday I had a conversation with someone. Well, you're the leader. You need to. Well, no, we all have different roles. You know, you're the leader. You need to say what it is. And well, listen, we all have different roles. I just motivate people, and I set up just calls, much like Luke does.
Luke?
Me? Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce that. I think just saying. I think sometimes it can feel frustrating that. I thought you were leading this and I was just contributing, or these kinds of challenges are going to happen again and again, I think, and it's important, I think, and exciting too, us being resilient to them and not just seeing them as wasting our time or whatever. This is what the whole project, I feel like, is about, It's about how people can work well together and actually create things and move forward together with a vision that all of us share, with a vision that draws upon as much wisdom and insight as possible. And this is such a relevant challenge, I think, like recognizing what a delegator is and who kind of supports a delegator and these different kind of roles, I think. So yeah, I advocate patience.
So if I can just summarise what we've discussed and what I believe that we've agreed upon, is that it would be great if there was an open protocol to contribute to the design of a web platform. Alex has pointed out that it would be good to get experienced people involved, and that Dan has suggested that building a team around the idea would be constructive. We in agreement of that, things?
Could I clarify something about this open protocol idea? That when you've got an open protocol when you've got lots of different servers or clients or whatever devices, be they servers or clients or whatever, talking to each other in a very distributed way. There is also something else called an open API, which is more centralized on one service. So you could have, for example, a lift share company having an open API that everyone can connect into, but it's still very centralized. A protocol is when you actually everyone can run the same language and it's open. So
yeah. Go on. Right.
So the test is the test is to have a number of different seats running the protocol, and then you've shown that it does. Personally speaking, I would say that's a goal. I wouldn't necessarily say it needs to be done anywhere near the beginning. I think actually getting functionality down, it would be good to map out the steps. Like, okay, from a very not very thought through methodology, like get some interface workflows, get some ideas about what needs functionality, get an idea of what the data needs to look like, and obviously Alex might want to do things the other way around, but it's all in parallel in a sense. You do things at the same time, but there's a number of streams that we have to work on. And from that, you get a sense of what are the functionalities, what is the messages you'd want to send to each, and you could actually within a single website you can break things up, you can decouple things to actually message each other, and then you actually get them to start sending the protocol within the actual website, and then you can just move a bit out and move another bit out of functionality, and then you've got it distributed, and then you can plug someone else in and plug someone else in. I hope that makes sense. But that's kind of.
Well, yeah, I think that's something to definitely talk about. I think what I was referring to was that like the rest of the things in ChangeTheFuture, it would be great if everyone can contribute. And Google Draw is a great way for that to happen.
Yeah.
With that being said, and those things being somewhat agreed upon, Alex, is someone who's had some experience running with these projects in a practical manner. Is there any particular skill set that you feel would be of use that we could perhaps try and source from people interested in ChangeTheFuture who might not be in this meeting right now?
Well, to clarify a bit there, I think it's definitely better to be experienced in the area, but there's a few areas that need doing, such as working out which bits need doing, but also designing the interface, designing the data backend, looking at what stuff would need to be in a protocol, which if it's open generally needs to be quite simple but still, well, concise, simple and complete, so people will want to and be able to implement it.
Do we have any shit-hot graphic designers?
We have some graphic designers. I can't speak for that work, but we've got some that are interested in the project. Lucinda in particular is in contact a lot at the moment.
So I'd say, get her and others involved in actually just starting to produce some nice graphics that could then be used in Google Draw, perhaps. I don't know how things work necessarily, but because if you start producing things that look lovely, then you can make videos with them, and then you put them up, and then you get people. It snowballs. It's kind of just and it doesn't have to be working. in reality, it's just like, this is what we want to build. You've seen all the you've seen all the slick videos with the nice Apple music in the background. You know, everyone's doing it these days.
Yeah. Right. Can I suggest that we move forward by perhaps if someone would like to take charge of just making sure that all these people are in contact with each other, and perhaps forming a committee on Trello, maybe in a group in which these people can communicate.
Would this fit into an existing group, do we think? Our committees thus far, tabland. Okay, hold on a second. The committees we've got so far are coding and IT, office space and bus. It's obviously not those. Vision, strategy and internal communications, affiliation and partnership, onboarding and human resources, and legal, money and fundraising. And marketing and outreach.
I personally don't think it totally fits into one of them. It's the project.
I'd err on the side of fitting in an existing one.
There is the coding and IT committee, but it looks like it's sort of not been touched for the past year, so perhaps it's not quite the right place to be doing that. I mean, perhaps even a Trello board, so it's not cluttered up with everything else that's not connected to it. Luke did indeed show me earlier on there's a filter system.
Yeah, I mean, we could actually have a separate board for this if you wanted, as a suggestion.
I think it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Be the same design and layout as this board, but just not with anything else on it except for working out what's happening with the software. And then this would be handy for protocol design, interface design, data design, and other various sections.
So have a different board for each committee.
I think.
Although I just want some tasks would be two different.
Well, I'm not saying for each committee. I'm just saying for this committee, coding and IT. Because, well, the other committees I'm for the most part not interested in at all. So to me it's mostly noise.
But I'm interested in whether this is would apply to the other ones as well. But I guess that's getting a bit geeky into sort of layout stuff. But yeah, I suppose should we just have someone who is leading that movement, not alone, but yeah, just making sure that this conversation continues about that topic, about Google Draw and collaborating on blueprints. That's what we're talking about? We're talking about actually refining some blueprints together?
We're talking about making I think we're talking about making the online platform, pushing it forward, structuring the workflow a little bit, and trying to involve people with relevant skill sets in moving it forward. But am I right?
Yeah. Is there nothing yet for the actual web platform? There's not because it is the whole thing. It's a process. It goes from that side to that side.
There's not been a lot of motion on the web platform for a while now.
Okay.
It's been very much something in the background. Yeah, it's exciting to hear about the idea of moving forward. Can I make a suggestion, not to put pressure on you guys? Seems as Luke and Alex are now currently in the same room, which is not something that happens that often. And someone with such experience in Trello, Alex has experience dealing with these kind of projects. I think, would you guys fancy just spending 15-20 minutes at some point just popping something together on Trello for us?
We can give it a go if you're up for it.
Do you mean kind of creating a conversation / ideation space on Trello for the blueprinting?
Yeah, for a board, I was thinking before.
Yeah, we'll work that together.
After this meeting?
Yeah, okay.
May I ask?
So I guess we'll both need that together, this kind of creation of a space and continuing conversation. And I think we'll use Facebook. We've kind of been using Facebook as sort of the general center of conversation around Change the Future, sort of sending us to different places, and that's kind of the central hub, the way I see it, is the workforce group on Facebook.
Yeah, use it, definitely.
Do you guys have a GitHub page set up yet? Change the Future? Have you kind of reserved that name on Change?
No, that's a good idea though. I'll do it now.
Yeah, as an organisation, I would do.
Yep.
And then it's got an identity. We can all join it, and anyone who's a developer or a pseudo developer like me can actually do that. And then the nice thing, Luke, about GitHub, if you haven't seen it, is the issues, which I'm started more and more to play with, and actually they're going to be the root. Issues are the kind of, for me, are the root of like World Peace Now kind of like visions and turn it into a project management. So it's interesting in its own, in itself, looking at issues and how they work, dependencies and all this kind of stuff. And also, the thing about GitHub is like a Facebook for developers. So it's, if we want to get other developers involved, then it's good to get a presence there and at least, I don't know how we do it yet.
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good.
Yeah. Really nice.
I feel like I'd like to push us on to the next agenda item now, if that's all right.
Oh, a very quick intermission. On GitHub, Change the Future has taken. It's a private group and it has no members.
Contact them.
Yeah. Contact them, sorry.
I'll give it a go, but that just may not happen.
That smells like Charlie.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? One word.
Cool. Yes, good stuff. How might we next agenda item? How might we find a more realistic balance between goals, good ideas, and the limited amount of hours we currently have spending each across our workforce? Can you give a little background to that question, Luke?
Yeah, it really is an open sort of inviting proposals, because I don't have a sort of clear solution or answer really. I just feel like I don't know if other people feel this too, but I feel like in our strategy meetings we come up with really, really good ideas, and not enough hands on deck to actually do those ideas. I think we could do a better job of kind of assigning tasks to people, like sort of saying, you know, I'll lead this task. But even then, I think there's still quite a sort of low rate of following through and completing stuff. So yeah, it's totally not coming from a place of judgment or blame. I just want the project to work and be fun for all of us, and I think it is more so when we get stuff done that we intended to.
Yeah, I could interpret that as you can make an enforcement strategy. That would be what I'd know that.
It's prison. To prison.
It's not a nice word, but that's when, like some people may know, the Woodcraft folk, that's what they do with DF Committee. They have an enforcer who will chase people to do the tasks that they said they do. Not necessarily always making them do it, but rather reminding them that they said they would. Also chasing them for money was part of their job. They were the least popular person on DF Committee. It was a horrible, horrible job.
Taxman.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm going to write down that comment. How to improve assignment and achievement of goals.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Can I propose that?
That's interesting. Okay,
that's one way. Could I propose that we just take that on board and possibly put it's a terrible answer to it, but I suppose we take that answer on board and come back with any ideas we might have about how to solve that problem, because that could be a big old discussion. Unless anyone has anything particular to suggest right now, I'm not necessarily.
Could you encapsulate the problem in a sentence? So I missed that.
Basically, people are not. They're like with all volunteer organisations. Change the Future has an issue where people will not always follow up on doing what they said they do. But that's something that I've definitely been guilty of, or at least not doing it for a very long time. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem that ever gets solved in one fell swoop, and we definitely want to put pressure on people.
Issue tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, just use an issue tracker. Funnily enough, GitHub has an issue tracker that some people are using it for non-coding reasons. I've started using it for non-coding, just tracking stuff that needs to get done or bought or whatever. But the nice thing about that, then it gets me using GitHub anyway. So that could be something we could do. And there are other issue trackers, obviously, like what is it? Something Camp. What is it? I've forgotten what it's called.
Basecamp.
Basecamp, yeah. All of those things. So they're awesome. I would say GitHub's issue tracker is pretty simple compared to something like Basecamp, I think. But that's how you do it. And then people basically say, yes, I will do that. And then you can see that they're just continually not doing it, or they are doing it. And you can give them gold stars, or you can give them coal.
Is that legitimately, can you do that? Sorry, Luke, go on.
So what are we, is in that, well, I don't really know what an issue tracker is, and I'm kind of wondering if it's like a digital version of what you just were talking about, Joe, of enforcers in Woodcraft. Like, but
Is it a digital tap on the shoulder? Just go on that thing that you said you.
Mostly like a digital to-do list for multiple people. I'd say more than those things. And in the case of GitHub, it's easily connectable source codes. You can say this in this area, have a discussion about it, and when it's done, it will be marked as complete and not looked at until you really need to.
but it's already on Trello then. Because we've got like, I'm doing this now on Trello. You move it from, I think this should happen to, I actually want to lead this myself, and you tag yourself to that task. So I'm wondering if we already kind of have that. But,
I'm wondering about, rather than having to chase individual people for individual tasks, we could sort of individually reassess our particular involvements with CTF, so that we can find a way of just integrating it into our lives without any extra stress. Because a lot of people don't have the time, or if they're making the time, then that's a lot of pressure on them. And it was, yeah,
Okay, just to answer that, it's not about hitting anyone. It's not about sticks. It's not about chasing people to oh, you were a bad person or anything like that. I think that gets and actually having a role for someone to do that, I think is a very stressful thing, and it puts a lot of stress on one person or several people, and also the receiver and the giver of that stick. And I think the thing about a task tracker is it tracks the task, so other people can take over task. It's about the task. It's not about the person. So someone can say, "I'll do it for a week," and then they come off it, and someone else, "Oh, look, that hasn't been done for a week. I'll do it." So it's about just, yeah. I just want to clarify. It's about tracking the thing that needs to be done, not the person, whether they've done it or not. I mean, yes, it will, obviously, but it's more about it's thing-centric rather than person-centric, and I think in a team, that's kind of like a nicer vibe, perhaps.
Yeah, I like this. Could we test this out for a week? Perhaps put everything that we said we'd do in this meeting on the website? Sorry, Daniel, I've forgotten the name of the website already.
Well, Alex, you know these things better than I. Would you say it's good to try this out on GitHub? I mean, because I've been told it's very rudimentary, but it is free.
Yes, it is free for open source projects, which does include us.
Yeah.
I've not used it outside of software. I can see how it would be useful, but I think it would be much more useful once we've got a bit of software to report issues with.
Yeah.
But if you've been using it for non-software projects, then maybe it's great for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like buying an SSL certificate, and I just put everything in there, and it's like, oh, It's really good.
Okay.
The only problem is, yeah, we haven't got that. Who do you think registered Change the Future? We don't know.
We don't know.
No,
You mentioned another website, another web platform that does it.
At Basecamp, yes. I don't know if that's free.
Okay, fair enough. Another suggestion perhaps could be that we could just make a point in which the week in which people like we used to have a section on the agenda where committees would report, which would often pressure me in the nicest possible way to account for stuff that I should have done, that perhaps I hadn't done, that I would have that I said I'd do previous week. I propose we put that back on the agenda.
Yeah, seconded.
Oh. I don't see a clear solution. Sorry?
Yeah, repeat that for Jem, please.
Oh, I was saying we used to have committee reports whereby any committee members that were present in the meeting would address progress of their committee, and it seems as all committees should really be aware of all tasks that fall under the remit of that committee. They would then report back on whether they were done or not. So at least it presented an opportunity to say whether you've done what you had done, what you said you'd done the previous week. Sorry, that was a much longer explanation than needed to be. But yeah, I propose.
Oh, it was a full explanation. It was good.
Sure.
One thing that kind of frustrates me a bit, and I don't know if it's too idealistic to sort of put this up in the air, but I just feel like the Change the Future workforce could be so much more in terms of people just sort of. I mean, I know I've got a lot of things that I'd like to get off my chest in terms of how I can make the world better, and the one thing I was thinking about was how like I'm sort of at the moment I'm sort of struggling with my mental health and sort of figuring out if I've got something or if I haven't, and all this nonsense, and like I was thinking about having a sort of unqualified sort of counselling sessions, hosting them between myself and other people, and sort of a very sort of no holds barred, almost kind of acting scenario, whereby you bring in people and you talk to them, and then talk to them about their problems, and then afterwards sort of ask to initiate some kind of a role play with them where they express really how they feel and through a character or something and all this stuff. And I'm just thinking, I'd love for like Change the Future workforce, the Facebook group, to be a sort of a thought to action process where you want to bitch about something or you think something's wrong, you can just put the idea down there, and then we can talk about that on there. And like, I'm just really surprised that there isn't more activity on Facebook because it's so easy to. And I feel a bit like bad. I feel a bit sad for you because you're posting so much stuff in there that effectively, you know, you're saying you don't want to be the leader and that it's an open thing, everyone to get involved, but because all the posts are from you.
I don't feel bad, like there's a reason why it's happening, and maybe I don't understand it fully yet. But I mean, there's a lot of. I feel like there's more contributions from other people than ever, which is still, you know, not an equal amount to me, but.
I think certain people who are less digitally evolved and able.
So much. Yeah.
I was chatting to people down in Portsmouth.
Introduce yourself, Jez.
Hi, I'm Jez. Nice to see you.
Hi, Jez.
How's it going? Yeah, just having a chat to some people in the public health department the other day, looking at kind of environmental and public health questions down in Portsmouth, and they were saying they've got a kind of bit of alienation communication with local council. So I said that this last Janet there, she would be interested to get some sort of wall of ideas down in Portsmouth. It's a very conservative city, quite different to Brighton, and I think they need a little bit of innovation like that, so it might be quite good fun if you're up for that in the future. Get a conversation going with Janet.
That sounds super exciting. Yeah.
But yeah, just thought I'd come and see what you guys are up to tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm a bit late, by the way. Someone cooked dinner for me and the phone out the battery.
Nice having you here.
Yeah, so
nice one for Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting league.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But it's what's been discussed so far.
Yeah, I've got 4 minutes. First point I've got is how will Change the Future be taken seriously?
Mm.
Then advocating an open protocol, so we all agree that our approach is the same approach, like all come to an agreement that we'll have the same vision or approach to change the future and the way that it progresses.
Mm.
This would then also lead, I suppose, to a product or a team effort building a simple or minimal visual representation of what the web platform will look like.
Yeah, the geeky term for that is minimal viable product, like kind of the simplest version of Change the Future that is good enough to do its job.
Mm.
Yeah. And to achieve that as a team, as opposed to it resting on 1 or 2 individuals. Inevitably, there's going to be more input from one person rather than, like you can't all input the same level or the same thing, but to at least have a mutual involvement as a team, reach that. Yeah.
I was just quite interested in terms of sort of community planning and the kind of neighbourhood plans and stuff like that. How that's kind of developing as a kind of tool. That's one of your goals, isn't it?
Yeah, that neighbourhood planning.
Yeah, so participatory kind of neighbourhood planning, because obviously there's a kind of scale issue there, and a lot of the ideas and sort of alienation which we've mentioned that occurs that might be beneficial through a kind of physical as well as a digital communication sort of process. But certainly, I mean, what's the council stuff said so far about that? Because you had Caroline Lucas there, she was quite supportive, wasn't she?
I think at the moment they simply like the idea. There hasn't been a great deal of conversation about implementing the conversations that it will strike up.
Yeah.
They've shown support and enthusiasm towards it, but I think it needs to be better represented or more accessible. Yeah, not necessarily simpler, because it's not simple in its nature.
No.
But easily grasped to understand before anything like that can be considered.
Sorry, guys. I feel like it's my duty now to bring us back to the agenda and to address just what Theo just said. I think I'm currently I'm part of a small team on the marketing and outreach committee, and I'd like to hear your ideas about encouraging more communication on the Facebook page. And I like the idea of you perhaps presenting, if I understand you right, a space for people to perhaps address their emotional issues about Change the Future. Am I hearing that correctly?
Oh, it's just an idea that basically a tool to bring drama into counselling, sort of mixing to where people don't feel so confused about their mental health.
Okay.
Just to follow on from that, if I may, that take a look at transition towns, because they are spread around in a similar way that they have Transition Towns Heart group. They have the Transition Towns What the Fuck Do We Do If Oil Runs Out group, and then they have the Transition Towns Web group, and then they have Transition Towns, so it's very it's very and they all interconnect, obviously, but
Do you think if you have a question,
I don't know,
create a
I don't know. It's up to, I don't know what the structure is, but here, but Transition Towns does have everything from heart and soul and all the way to other stuff and everything in between, and it might be worth looking at it as an organisation and seeing how prolific it is and how it works in a sense. Different mission, but
Have to be open to everything, I suppose, business-like, but also on an emotional, personal, and practical level. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like to put that responsibility on you, Theo. That was something you felt like you had to do. But if you're interested in doing it, I'd definitely like to hear more about it.
Awesome. Sure.
Um,
Discussing. I'd be interested in leading a discussion about how we can sort of find a nice balance between having ChangeTheFuture with moderate, formal platform, and also sort of melting pot where people can really just go nuts.
Yeah, like it. Cool. Yeah, add yourself to the committee if you're on Trello. That'd be great if you could. It's marketing and outreach you'd be under, which is also, or it could even be human resources. Actually, it could be if you want to join the human resources team with Rob Carney, who is a wonderful human resource. It's brilliant. With that being said, I'd like to move on to the next agenda, if that's okay. Next agenda item. I feel if we have addressed the idea of chasing people for tasks, we have really.
I put down the committee report, assessing personal input, goals agreed, and progress on those goals. That
Can we add to that? I think we usually do it quite well.
yeah.
Just in meetings when we discuss a point, just always make sure we close off the point by just saying, are we making an action point that's led by someone out of this point?
Yeah.
can I just clarify that issue trackers, they don't take the heart out of the process. What they do is just it's just another tool to assist us to not have amazing memories. It just means that we can be reminded of things, and just like calendars and stuff like that. So it's not about taking the humanity out of it. It's actually enabling us to be more human, because we don't have to think about we don't have to keep all this stuff in our head about what needs to be done. That's my feeling on these kind of tools, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Just to have a quick glance at our Trello board, just to see if it's changed quite a lot. I think you might have seen it a while ago, possibly, but I feel like it might be what you're talking about. But maybe with some tweaks, I don't know. But I'd love to see what you make of it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm going to propose that that we revisit this agenda item and it's put onto next week's agenda after we've got GitHub, and perhaps Daniel's had a look at our Trello board and how we're tracking our tasks currently. Is that something that people would think would be a nice, concise ending to that agenda item?
Yeah.
And we're gonna put the committee reports back on the agenda, so we'll be doing committee reports next week.
Can I just say, no need. You've got it all in the Trello boards. You've got that. That's all basically what I've been saying. I just haven't visited Trello really that much recently. So you've got due dates and stuff like that. So
maybe I can just create an invitation to help people understand the Trello now that it's kind of quite nicely set up. I think certainly a lot of thought gone into it, and there's a lot of tasks already in there and stuff. So I could offer to help people. I feel like most of the people here, actually, in person and online, have had some experience of it already. So maybe just sitting with it a little bit together, maybe a working group. I think working groups are a great opportunity for us to come together in person and online to actually move things around on Trello, lead a task, make a phone call, email someone, draw a thing, and actually use the system and get comfortable with it and see it's not that scary.
Or maybe workforce that needs an agenda too, and one of those agenda items could be perhaps chasing tasks and making sure that people are clear about how the task management system is working. Then is that what you're saying?
It's our responsibility to ourselves. Is it it's not like it's easier, I think, to give one person the responsibility, but better perhaps for us all to be aware of the tasks that need achieving.
Yeah.
And to not even like pull people up on it or chase them, but yeah, to just mention it even.
Can you actually assign a task to someone?
Yes. Yeah. Spacebar with your cursor on a task or a card in Trello, they call it, will assign yourself. And if you want to assign someone else, you can the short member, and you choose anyone who's a member of the board and contact them on.
Okay.
You can also do at someone when you're typing in the comments, and that'll just sort of like mention them.
Yeah, sure. All right, I'm gonna call that agenda dealt with, and the next one. Luke has proposed that we spend £800 of our remaining approximate £1,000 to put a bounty on tasks. Luke, do you want to elaborate?
This is a big proposal. Yeah, me and Joe have spoken about this a bit, and Alex and Jem a little bit and stuff. We've got £1,104 in the bank account right now. We've earmarked £100 to give as a donation to Onca Gallery, and so yeah, there's £1,004 remaining. My proposal was to spend some amount of money. I was suggesting £800 to. I probably wouldn't use the word pay people because I don't see it like a normal kind of hourly wage exactly, personally, or a salary. I see it more as literally just an experiment, like all of Change the Future for me. My relationship with it is experimenting with different ways of helping people to organise together, and this is just one new way that we could explore helping particularly with the challenge of putting paid work ahead of Change the Future. So the way I was proposing we do it is also could hopefully make people want to use Trello more, because I think it would have to go through there to be organised and recorded and accountable. But so if you look on Trello, there's lots of things that need to be done, and we have quite a good process as well for making sure that actually everyone does want a task to be done. It's not just one person saying, let's do this, I'll lead it, done, and then we all go, what did you do that for? But so we add a bounty, like £25 to make flyers for this upcoming event, or £75 to replace the placeholder website, and then there's a conversation that's happening in there, and maybe that conversation between mostly 4 different people will have more energy because they know that it's actually going to get done this time, because there's someone who's actually being given a sort of token donation, I guess. I think perhaps legally it also maybe would have to be called a donation.
That's really tricky. It's really tricky, actually. I was just thinking about the legality of it, because that's in a business bank account, is it?
I think it's a community bank account.
But is there a legal entity called Change the Future?
Change the Future is not a legal entity.
Okay, so it's a kind of it's a cooperative kind of partnership kind of account. Yeah. So I mean, but if you start paying people, then I don't know. I just don't know what do they have to invoice the whatever that whoever owns that account. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't know how. So then they take care of the tax, and I don't know if you can donate money to a person? I don't know. I know it's totally small amounts of money, but it's just to be totally above board.
Yeah.
With it.
Good point. That's a good point.
This area, actually, that could be one quite good reason for using GitHub's tracker. There's an existing project and website which is quite nicely functioning called Bounty Source, which lets you put bounties on GitHub issues.
Oh, right.
So that's kind of a good chunk of a ready-made system for that. I was just looking at starting to do a couple of bounties on it, actually. The things which I want to be done anyway.
That's cool.
You want to check it out and like report back maybe on the Facebook group, Alex, or something?
I think probably my reporting back would be a slightly watered down version of what's written on the front of their page, so I could copy that onto Facebook.
I mean, like your experience
Or
with it and how potentially useful it could be to us.
I haven't actually used it. I've looked through it. It looks like it could be useful, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm saying, what do you want to have a look at it first and then report back using the Facebook group saying how useful you think it may or may not be for us?
When you're saying bounties on things,
Hmm.
none of the examples you gave were software. Are you thinking bounties in the realm of software much? Well, you said the website, but it's quite a vague thing to replace the website. That then needs to have a large discussion after it to decide what to replace it with.
I was proposing monetary donations, if you like, for anything that we put time into, just to help make Change the Future more accessible. I mean, partly I was seeing it as an ideological kind of approach to making Change the Future not only a project that us relatively privileged, I suppose, in the sense that some way or another we've managed to create the time right now to have a 2-hour-long meeting. Not everyone is able to do that, or at least doesn't feel like they are able financially or whatever to create that time, because they just have to work all around the clock on minimum wage or less. So it felt like it could be in line with the Change the Future principles of being really open and accessible. It's not just privileged people kind of creating a problem-solving platform for other people who weren't able to be involved in that process.
Well, I'll see if Bounty Source allows non-software things. If it doesn't, then I guess not. And if so, then I'll investigate a bit more.
Nice.
I would imagine that the GitHub program would mean that if you were to invoice someone, you'd invoice an individual or the organisation that was in charge of the GitHub project. So I'm not sure if it's going to address the legal issues straight away.
It wouldn't address the legal issues straight away, but it would make it easier, as Change the Future already spends money on things. Change the Future could spend money on putting up a bounty for a certain thing, giving it to the organisation rather than to an individual. Then which individual actually claims it depends on who completes the bounty. So I think it would make the legal situation easier, though I could be wrong. It's not quite my area.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's obviously something that needs investigating.
The other very good point of it is that not just Change the Future has to put up the bounties. Anyone interested can easily put up a bounty through the system without having to go through us at all.
That's a good point.
Which is very useful.
Yeah.
It's probably a silly suggestion, because I don't know anything about legality of organisations and all that stuff. But I'm just thinking, what if the whole money aspect of it doesn't need to be advertised publicly, but rather that's sort of addressed in a sort of outside relationship of the group, and then you wouldn't have to worry about becoming a legal entity or any of that, but rather just sort of introduce the money side later and maybe in cash between friends. Because I know this group's made up of friends anyway, and maybe it'd be nice to introduce it.
Yeah, so as long as it's not excluding people who are sort of new and getting involved, because I think part of the value of Change the Future will be its hopefully increasing diversity of membership, if you like. Just the diversity of very different people involved. I think it'd be really good to have people that we don't normally hang out with kind of involved, people we have different opinions to and stuff involved. Yes.
How far with the Transition Towns group? Is there one active at the moment?
I'm not sure. Lewis, I feel like possibly. I feel like Lewis might have a transition.
Brighton's one's collapsed, is it?
I don't know where it's at.
I'm sure there's. Yeah, I'm sure it's Brighton, and I'm sure there is one. Definitely.
I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to lead the. Sorry, did I interrupt someone?
Nope.
No. Good. I'd be happy to investigate whether how much PAYE schemes and whether we as a community organisation could somehow be registered to be PAYE exempt. Considering I'm having a look over it now, and like with the amount of money that we're paying people, we might be, even without being a legal entity, even without having a charity number, just sheerly because of the small amount of money that we're paying people. So I'd be happy to lead that in terms of checking out the tax situation.
I will support you on that task, and yeah, researching the legalities and stuff. And I've got a couple of thoughts of places we could throw that question. Is this project allowed to in any way give money to people basically volunteering their time?
Cool. Does anyone else want to address any issues with this particular proposal?
Yeah, yes, I'm not even sure that it's a good proposal, even though we've just talked about the whole bounty thing, and I've been looking at this bounty thing. It's quite interesting, but yeah, I just don't know. It feels like that's a wad of money you could use for. I mean, I'm motivated. I'm motivated to do this. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been working on Kendra for 20 years. I did want to say that as well. In terms of the timescale of this thing, you have to be prepared that this is going to be a lifetime thing. And I wouldn't want to be working with you guys unless I thought that, Luke, I think that you are kind of. It does feel that you're. Although I do think that you might just sometimes end up being a politician, but. But you just do seem to have that staying power, and I think that's really important. You've got to, I think, getting commitment, saying, yeah, I will work on this. This is my life's work. If someone isn't like that, then really do. Okay, yeah, I'd just like to be paying them 60 quid an hour because I don't really want them just to be in there just mooching around. And yeah, I suppose. Is there a halfway house? Not sure. Maybe there is something paying people 5 quid or 2 quid an hour or something just as a sweetener, so they can survive and they don't have to worry about taking time off work or something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe there is.
Yes, I feel like the sort of skills that we will be developing will hopefully be taking us to a level of working so well together as a team. After we've practiced it for a while, because it is an amazing human skill, something that we're losing in our communities. I think the ability to effectively self-organize, listen to each other, be open-minded, challenge ourselves. All these things are essential human skills, and I think we're just exploring different ways of creating catalysts for that to support that skill to develop in us. And whether it makes sense logically or not, I feel like that's just something that comes up a lot, or that people maybe feel a lot but maybe don't always say out loud in those words, is that they have to prioritise paid work. I do it as well. So I guess it just feels like a practical science experiment. We do it. If we did it, we'd do it very much like, do not expect this to continue. This is a one-off experiment. Maybe we'd find at the end, use up that money. And then maybe people kind of don't get as involved so much. Maybe people will be less involved than before we even started it. But I think whatever happens, we'll be in a position of more information and having conducted an experiment that we can share with the world.
Can I just ask, what physical kind of projects on the ground are you guys hoping to sort of facilitate in the local community at the moment?
So we talked at the Make Sense workshop recently. Make Sense are an organisation that brings volunteers together to all solve one challenge, which in this case was on my birthday, to get the bus crowdfunding campaign out there. So the bus crowdfunding campaign is a big vision. It seems stuck on like 200 something pounds, so we're very far off of our 36 grand goal, and it doesn't move in that much. But for me, I think that represents the kind of biggest, boldest idea for working on a city-wide community level, as opposed to in a school or UK-wide or just inside Change the Future, because we drive this new kind of political interface to people rather than expecting them to come to us or it.
I'm just thinking about my own ideas about the commonification of the city and what sort of like common property resources in a kind of transition town style, which is what this group reminds me of the most so far. Like for example, open source kind of charging points and the open access water supply, for example, where you could sort of put those kind of open access kind of things, like sort of, if you can find somewhere in the city where you've got like rainwater catchment and then you can just access free water, for example, stuff like that. I think it's quite interesting. And mapping it out where these kind of common property things can have. Obviously, like food growing is a major issue in Brighton, but water could be an achievable one as well as solar charging points.
I feel like the people who have the most rewarding and productive relationship with Change the Future are people who have the boldness to sort of create a role for themselves. You know, like this isn't a project that you have to conform to it and fit into an existing role. Like, it's always fluid, and if you don't see an area for your interests and passions to be met by the project, like, the project can change, and it kind of needs to, because otherwise it's failing to be a vessel for people's ideas and skills.
Like, what I'm thinking about is trying to develop a kind of seaweed garden with underwater sculpture reef to provide habitat. So that's something I'm going to link into the group as that slowly progresses.
Okay. So how do you think the group might be able to support you? How can Change the Future potentially support?
Well, just to kind of introduce it, I've got to get down the scrapyard and get some bits of concrete and piping and other shapes and forms which make a complex reef habitat, anchor kind of seaweed ropes to grow seaweed to eat on. So if people are interested in coming for a bit of a swim or something, there's a kind of scope out the site in the first instance. Really.
Yep.
Okay. That's pretty tempting.
Yeah, so you're more than welcome.
I got a wetsuit.
Your wetsuit? Cracking. Yeah, so if you come for a little snorkel, I got another snorkel.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see sort of any
Little off topic, Joe?
Yeah, thank you. So, sorry, the only reason I keep interrupting people is that I'm supposed to be chairing, so that's why I'm going to get I'll crack the whip occasionally.
Do that.
Really quick point about the bounty idea.
Yes, please, yeah.
I just feel like Change the Future, like on a really basic level, I feel like if it were to become a legal entity, it would just lose its cool factor completely. Like, I just love how no one knows what it is, and like it's just this awesome platform for people to just add whatever they want, and you love that now. But like if it would become like a registered charity or something, it would just be like, well, it would lose that edge, and it doesn't.
I think you really need to think about what your goal is there. I mean, I hear what you're saying in terms of it really depends what the goal is. I mean, if you want to handle money and if you want to pay developers to build something, if you want to build a house, you need to actually buy. Well, you don't actually have to buy bricks. You can get it all given to you. I guess for about 12 years of this 20-year project, I thought, I'll just get everyone together and then get all the businesses together that should interoperate and tell them to interoperate, and then they'll do it, and they never did. And then I thought, I'll get volunteers to do it, but they have their own ideas. That's the problem with volunteers. So then I had to actually get money to pay people to do it. I had to get them, because they wouldn't have built what I'm now building if it was in their own time. Developers don't do that. They don't build the kinds of things that I want them to build. It just doesn't. It's not in their focus. One, it's non-profit, so that's a big reason not to build it. and it's two-way out there.
Oh, lost you, Dan. Lost 10 seconds of you.
Way you go saying what
Dan,
it
can you
should or
rewind?
shouldn't be. Yeah.
There was a loss in signal.
Sorry. Yeah, basically, I think the general gist of what I'm saying is, before you go stating what Change the Future should or shouldn't be in terms of a legal entity, get the goals clear and the methodology about how you get to those goals. Then what Change the Future is will fall out of that. Because if you make the stipulation, it's never going to be a legal entity just on the basis that it's a cool and funky group. It can be a cool and funky group anyway. You know, but those things are not necessarily at odds. Over.
Can we define those? I'd like to propose we define those questions that you just said there, Daniel. Was there two of them? One was, what exactly are the goals of Change the Future and your methodology to achieving them?
Yeah, I guess that is that's a big part of it.
Pages of A4. I think we've basically got that online, but I think it, in various forms, for funding applications and descriptions to various people. But certainly it can be reworked. It's all on Trello, actually, to be honest. I think in project descriptions, which everyone here should have access to. But I can help to make it a different size or format or whatever. Yeah, find out what the questions are.
The advantage of being a legal entity is that you can receive grants and stuff like that. If you put it in for grants and getting more funding, kind of.
Yeah, we've got grants so far, but yeah, fairly small ones. $5.5 grand was the biggest, I think.
That's not too bad, is it?
Can I call upon Leah? I know if I understand rightly, you've been involved with Change the Future for a relatively short amount of time, or would you be more interested in the tasks that we have? If there were, for instance, tasks that were paid for that could perhaps support you taking them on board, as someone who perhaps has not seen our vast web of tasks before?
I wouldn't do it to get paid. I wouldn't need to get paid to do it.
Okay. So you don't feel like it would motivate you to stay more updated with them?
I don't think the idea of getting paid would help me get motivated. It's hard to explain. I'd need it myself. If you get that.
You're saying the project itself is more motivating than the money?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to
I think they're different things, motivating and you can be really motivated to work on Change the Future, but just unable to, in the sense that you're going to get kicked out of your house next week because you went to, would you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe it's my pride getting in the way, but a more human way of appealing to people than just through money,
Yeah, but
Time bank or something.
But man, I don't think it's about motivating people. They're not passionate enough about Change the Future. We'll pay them to be more passionate. I feel like it's just literally a logistical thing. We could be seen to be excluding people who are poor, low-income, deprived community people, and I think that's not something we want this project to be vulnerable to as an attack. You know, because there's single mums who are living in Whitehawk right now who just could not fathom being able to volunteer on a project like this, even if they thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread. It just doesn't feel like an option, and I think we can help to create it to be a little bit more of an option by doing something like this. But I don't know. I guess I just don't know, and I want to find out. Because I feel like, say we offer like 75 quid to apply to a funding application, or 150 quid to apply to these 3 funding applications for the project. You know, that could generate loads of money we could use for all kinds of things. And we'd actually do it, and someone would actually sit there for a whole day and do that entire thing. And maybe they'd cancel a day of work to do it.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate your motivation. Sorry, I think perhaps what I just said may have come across, particularly to anyone who's heard me talk on this, in a way that was particularly negative. Like, I just liked hearing that someone was passionate and interested in the project. And my concerns about this particular proposal are that I don't think that it could fully address the inclusive policy that you're trying to put forward. I think it's something. I think it is something really important, and I think it's something really difficult that all voluntary organisations face, especially ones like this that exist in a very cerebral, like intellectual construct. Sorry, Jem, did you want to respond?
I was gonna make a point. Like, I appreciate, I don't know, as an all-encompassing view of this recent proposal about donating, maybe not donating, but using some of the money that we've got to make things happen. And I think it will both encourage people who are motivated by monetary value to achieve something and feel rewarded. It may also ostracize people who aren't motivated by money. And then I just suddenly remembered that it's an experiment and something worth trying. And if it is successful, then potentially worth repeating. And if it is unsuccessful, a valuable lesson to learn from. So it's like, I don't want to. Maybe we can hash it out more and talk about it more, but I think we don't really know what the outcome of this will be. And I don't necessarily believe that it's a valuable way to spend ChangeTheFuture's money to just sort of get things done. But it's how a lot of people operate successfully, and I think it's an experiment worth trying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hear, I hear the argument that it could get some stuff done. That unfortunately is the prevailing argument that I hear in terms of what I think we can get out of it. I've had some experience with charities intending to pay people before, and in my main concern is that if you couple an employer's responsibility with that of the responsibilities of a volunteer organisation, you end up with an employee with very little in the way of rights. So if it was something that we wanted to go ahead and explore, I feel like it's something that we'd have to explore with the utmost caution. Something that we'd have to consult with people who had like an experience in workplace in employing people. We'd have to make sure that those people were never underpaid. We'd have to make sure that if they were promised the work and they were given the task, they were paid regardless of whether they could do it or not, because that's the kind of stability that people who take paid employment are in. You know, if I say I have to do a task for ChangeTheFuture, then I get sick, then but I volunteered to do that task, then it's no loss. But if I say that if I cancel work to do a task for ChangeTheFuture which is paid, and then I fall sick, then I have lost work. Like, it's a very different thing. But I said my bit on it. That's it.
Yeah. And also, as an afterthought,
we could spend as long discussing the task, like how to assign value and why tasks are more important and other tasks are more valuable, and like how do we decide that, and is it fair? Yeah, that's half of the proposal is completely missing. Is again, obviously, totally open to discussion as it already is, but my proposal was that I led the deciding the value of tasks, but I can't earn any money ever. Because I feel like already I'm somehow or other I've already managed to create a ridiculous amount of time for myself to work on Change the Future stuff, like probably, I don't know, 40 hours a week maybe. Depends on how much you kind of include research stuff. But yeah, anyway, so I think I don't need any more help at the moment right now. Plus, it could just be a way just to make this sort of short-term experiment just get done and happen and be simple, without being really contentious and conflict of interest. So yeah, I was proposing that obviously it could still be contested, but I could just lead that task of going through all the tasks and saying 20 quid, 60, 50. If someone felt like, don't be stupid, that's going to take ages, then it can change. But
yeah,
perhaps. Oh,
go ahead.
I'm saying perhaps if we're thinking of this in an experimental way, then rather than spending almost all of the budget on trying it out, we could spend a smaller portion on trying it out.
Yes.
Like, say, £100, which is a lot less to work with and a less complete experiment, but sounds a bit risky to blow the whole budget on an experiment.
I feel like £100 could easily go on 2 tasks and not really give. That wouldn't probably have the chance to span multiple different skill areas, and so Jez may not find something that he feels like capable of or interested in doing. So I feel like at least £400 or £500. I feel like to cover a decent amount of tasks and actually have something, a useful sample size to reflect on and evaluate. Also, man, another thing is talk about this, and then just by blogging about it and sharing our experience could actually help us get on the map and get more recognition, maybe more volunteers, or like it's interesting to think where just doing something so innovative could take us as a project.
I'd say pay a tenth the minimum wage. I'd say do £1 per task, but you pay them real money, but just do it as a kind of, this is an experiment. We're playing Monopoly here. We're playing with Monopoly money. This isn't really about. This is about if we did have £10,000 in the bank, we could really do this. So this is an actual experiment where we're gonna have 100 tasks. We're gonna pay out 100 quid. We're gonna pay £1 each for each of the tasks, and that way, you know, it depends what you really want to do. You know, if you're only gonna what's the PR advantage? What's the you were talking about? What is the goal? You were talking about, you're shifting in a sense, because you were talking about it would be a way of making people excited to come into the project. Well, maybe it would be a bit of a PR stunt, you know, to pay 100 people £1 each to do something, and then say, well, listen, if we had £1 million, we could actually do this properly, you know. But so you know, if we could scale up, you know, so but is that part of what Change the Future is about? Is about bounties. I've been just looking through this bounty thing. It's quite fascinating, and you know, it seems to be quite heavily used. Or starting to be, and it's really interesting how they integrate with projects.
I'd like to see some proposals written up and maybe a deadline for a decision being made on it. Luke, I know you have like one proposal which I imagine at this point is like reasonably fleshed out. Could you a deadline? Would you like to put one on it? Vote.
We're putting it onto Facebook so that we can invite more people who aren't here to maybe we end the proposal voting period next Monday.
Yeah, I like this. Anyone disagree with this? Agreement? Agreement? Yeah?
I think perhaps an extra week of voting could be good, since it's potentially using quite a bit of the budget, and the motion on the Facebook page can be a bit slow. Like, I don't check it every week and would often miss things like this, which are somewhat important.
I see that as a point. I second that.
I would agree with that normally, but I just thought about if we want to get the bus crowdfunding campaign to be successful, I think that's going to need a massive kick up the arse from the whole Change the Future workforce. And so maybe this is like a perfect time to try this experiment out. In which case, you know, we've only got about 3 weeks or something, haven't we, left of the campaign running, I think.
Proposing, you're essentially proposing we spend money, use money, to make money.
Yeah, kinda. I guess I just feel like we've got a really big task, which has got millions of tasks inside it. You know, it's really exciting. We could get this double-decker bus, but I think it's going to take a lot of improving the crowdfunding campaign, getting in the streets, putting the wall of ideas up again, like online, social media, buzz. So yeah, this could be like a nice, interesting, possible little catalyst that could make or break that bus crowdfunding campaign. But I think what I'm saying is that still let's have the proposal run for a few days. But I think I'm suggesting, considering all this, that we do call it on next Monday. So we give it 7 days from now. We can tag people in it. We could even phone people and text them. I think that could add to the urgency of it. Make sure that as many people as possible share their view on the proposal. And meanwhile, is it you and me, Joe, that are exploring whether it's actually legal in the first place, and if so, how it's legal? Like, do we have to register with something or what?
Yeah, I mean, if we have to register it, it's going to take more than a week to register.
This is true, but that's potentially okay because we can still like move the numbers on paper and then actually physically move the coins whenever, you know, later.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think Alex's concern might be correct on this. I think we can run a middle round. Could we perhaps do?
Lost you for 10 seconds, Jay.
Oh, sorry. Could we have to run a middle round and then a week and a half?
I've got a different proposal which maybe solves this problem, which is we decide on Monday whether to call it or extend it.
Yep, that one. Second that one. Anyone?
Sounds good.
Yes, please.
Okay.
When direct democracy and consensus decision making marry each other.
Yeah.
This is a dictatorship. I want out.
Do you want me to get your pen?
We've got some more agenda items. I'll call that one. I think that was good. Next we have, if we haven't already, let's assign some dates together to work on the crowdfunding campaign. Down about doing a performance. I'm guessing you're not thinking that the next working group would be close enough.
Yeah, the Thursday working group, definitely we could get a real buzz happening for that. Oh, I wouldn't be there, but please sticks.
I'll be there late. I'll get there at 10:30 if needs be.
I think
it may not be there either.
But that doesn't mean it can't happen. Like, just, yeah. Maybe I'll make my decision before then and have it represented by a cardboard cutout or a whiteboard or something.
Fantastic. Cool. We're going to advertise that. I'm going to call that agenda meeting, that agenda, I'm getting tired. I'm going to call that agenda item addressed. We'll do that on Thursday. So I'm rushing through this because I'm aware we've got like 5 minutes.
10 minutes. Calling, what's happening on Thursday?
Thursday we're doing the crowdfunding campaign as part of the working group.
Crowdfunding campaign. Yeah, okay, cool.
Cool.
What's the next point on the agenda, Joe?
What purchase with CTF?
Hang on, the signal went very weird. That went very strange. What did you just say? Yeah, still weird. Still weird.
Something weird, Joe.
Who has permission to make purchase with CTF? No, Luke, you're gonna have to read it. Luke, can you read the next?
What's that?
Could you next agenda item?
I'm just gonna pull it up.
Yeah.
23rd of Feb. Yeah, got it. Scrolling. Permissions to. Oh, about the card, buying stuff on the card. Yes.
Ah, yes, you were worried about buying lunch for volunteers and such.
Yeah, so just if we have a working group in our Campo Lounge or something, can we buy people drinks on the card, or like teas and things, or like is there a limit, or like just common sense? Basically, I feel like I have the card, and historically I'm not good with numbers or money, and I just feel like if anyone else wants to hold on to the card and just administer and manage the money, or just literally be the person who goes, yes, we may buy something now with petty cash, or I don't know, just the more I'm away from the card and money, the more comfortable I'll feel, I think.
I propose that you get a £10 limit on what you buy at any public event, so that we can just sit at the table and drink tea. Seconded? Anyone have an issue?
What was that? What did you say, Joe? You proposed £10 as a limit.
Yeah, £10. I think that's good. We don't have to spend £10, but it means you can buy.
£10 per event or per person per event?
Just per event, I thought. Just enough to keep us in the cafe.
Okay. So you're saying,
but then you might have 10 people at one event, and I think it should be per person, surely. Like there's a £4. Each person gets £4 up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Are we happy with that? I'll second it.
Yeah, I'll second that. So whenever we have a weekly strategy meeting, a social, I don't feel like it should. Should it apply to social?
Not social.
No, I think one meeting takes priority.
Yeah, so strategy meeting Mondays, not the socials on Wednesdays. Definitely the working groups on Thursdays.
Definitely the working groups. It probably should be at people's discretion as well. I can pay for my own tea, like just because, I'm living that life.
Mondays and Thursdays then, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. That's nice to have that decided.
Concise. Would anyone like to? Sorry, next agenda item. Would anyone like to lead any work on affiliation merging between ChangeTheFuture and similar projects we feel are in line with our goals and objectives? Did you have a particular organisation in mind, or did you want that to be a? Sorry, this is Luke. Did you want that to be a role in a committee, or?
There is a committee. One of the 7 committees is affiliation and partnership, which is like exploring other projects that exist that are anything like ChangeTheFuture, or that we could. I just feel like the more ways we can today operate to change the future, so that it's kind of like our end goal, what we're advocating for the future, the better, because we're practicing what we preach. And one of those things is like collaborating in the way that we want citizens to collaborate, or students and teachers in the school to collaborate. We as a project should be able to do that with other projects like Vocalize and stuff like this. Alex and I have been talking lots about Vocalize and Peter Anderson, and just as we have for ages, just feeling like there must be more that we can do to create an interface, share experiences, funding, opportunities, or mistakes and successes, bounce ideas.
What do you think about having like a daily YouTube video in the future?
So it's a bit louder, man. So everyone can...
What do you think about? What does everyone think about having? I guess I'm not sure how you could like assign it to anyone. It wouldn't be assigned to any one person, but I'd like maybe there'd be some kind of a 5-minute video every day, every couple of days from anyone in CTF who's thinking about something to do, maybe to do with democracy, or that they'd like to change, or just sort of having a forum on there, a regular thing for people to look back on and keep updated with. I mean, obviously all the meetings are online, but
sort of unedited webcam diary.
yeah, like a vlog kind of thing.
Really interesting, I think.
Because that's really popular, like online, and
Yeah.
people want things in short, concise forms. And,
Working groups, I feel like, is that could be fantastic for. Like, you've got potentially 5 people slogging away for several hours on various different exciting, important big things, really getting the ball rolling. Like, what better an opportunity to do just like a 1 or 2 minute little video, could even be on a phone camera if it has to be, just saying, yeah, it's the 27th of February, we had 5 of us in our campo for a few hours doing A, B, C and D, basically we've done this, yeah, we still need to do this, if anyone wants to get involved in that, you know, shout out on Facebook or whatever. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it's a big role. I think that's a lot of work. If there was a simple way to do that, that would be great. I think perhaps this is where we need to get our Twitter stream back on the go. Just a Twitter link to whatever's happened that day might be good. Maybe just a bit of a... It's probably something that I should drive forward as the only person who's on that particular committee.
You want to drive that forward, though, Joe?
Yeah.
Whether you should doesn't lead me to feel like it's an idea that's coming. It's like, it seems like it's a good idea, but it doesn't feel like you want to do it.
It's a pretty full-time idea. I think that perhaps what we need is a drive to get people to have more access to the Twitter and more people to do it. So
we have to create the invitation for people to take it. We have to create, someone has to create an invitation. No one's going to say, I'll do it, until we say, would somebody like to tweet loads for us? Some people are well into that. Zoe might even do it. You know, she was well into the social media stuff. I mean, we haven't heard from her for yonks, but I don't know if that's because she's just in a busy patch or what. But I think the more invitations we can create. I was talking to Paul Levy, who, yes, I need to talk to you guys about Paul Levy. He's an amazing mentor for me / this project, and he was just saying a project like this. What will make or break it so much is the quality of your invitations. Like, don't just be like, oh, we've got to do this, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do this, and so many things. Like, turn that into, who would like to, you know, manage this aspect of our social media for this exciting, pioneering project? Just give it a bash, and if you don't like it after 2 weeks or a week, like, hand it over. But yeah, you package it almost like products. Like, would you like this role? Play with this role a bit. And new people can then actually find a way in.
I have a suggestion. Because we use Facebook so much, and Facebook has a hashtag functionality now, which is really handy. Perhaps a hashtag that we could apply to any post that was CTF-related updates to what CTF is currently doing would be good. So if anyone, I'm too tired to think of one now. All I'm thinking is, what's happening with hashtag what's happening with CTF, and that's way too long.
What?
Something
CTF
wrong. This hashtag
today.
CTF today. That's good. Hashtag CTF today. Right. So if we post something about CTF, regardless of what's happening now, hashtag CTF. Bye.
I'm willing to learn. I think we've really easily done, and I've got a few fun ideas about it as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Seconded.
What was the final resolution on a sort of Twitter-style involvement or Facebook? You were talking about both.
I was thinking just go with Facebook because we use Facebook all the time and it has hashtag functionalities now. So yeah, CTF today.
Yeah.
Every time something's happening, like if you're down in the AMPO or whatever, if you post into the group, if you post into the workforce, the page of the workforce, on your own page, just tag up CTF today, and I'll advertise CTF today as a hashtag on the Facebook group. Probably won't do it tonight because I'll do it tomorrow morning because people don't check the Facebook group so much in the nights times. So yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. But yeah, we should. I'll drive that forward. I'll drive forward the use of the hashtag. How about that?
Nice.
That I'm comfortable doing.
Great. I just can't stand using screens mostly. As soon as someone mentions potentially doing something on Twitter or Facebook, I want to just run away. But I do like talking to human beings, and I'd be more interested in like knocking on people's doors with an iPad or some sort of mobile device. Just be like, do you want to put something on our Twitter feed? Like, I'd so much rather do that than do Twitter myself. So I feel like I should be involved with real human beings. And I just, off the top of my head, had an idea that I should probably put that to good use in terms of like getting people to donate things as rewards for the crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
Just like asking people to provide something small. It could be a trinket, something they like or own. It could be like free theatre tickets or whatever anyone wants to donate towards the cause as rewards. But I just thought maybe that would be a better way to spend my time.
Yeah, it's wicked. Right up, like I was gonna say, right up as a proposal on the Facebook page. But yeah, that would do it all. If you could just pop it in the minutes, I would like to propose it in the minutes, and maybe I'll do the Facebooky bit. That's cool. I'm getting knackered now.
I got a bit distracted in being so close to the screen, but the last minute that I've written down is £4 per head can be spent on Monday strategy meetings and Thursday working group. Is that fair? Is that what we agreed?
Yeah, that's what we agreed. Yeah.
Cool. Good. And then was there anything that I might have missed since then before I write down the next one?
Yeah, I'm gonna CTF today. Just something about hashtag CTF today and me posting that on Facebook.
CNN today, but more democratic. Hashtag CTF today.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. The last thing was Jez. As I was going to address a bunch of stuff that Jez was talking about. I feel bad now. My interaction with him in this meeting has been telling him to not to read it. But anyway, interest in Portsmouth City Council and bridging community divide between the state and local society. I'm guessing that was what Jez was talking about earlier. Is that correct?
If you heard that, then yes. I can't recall what happened.
I think he just popped. Yeah, I think it was just popped on the agenda. That sounds really interesting. Also, Jez's project of creating an underwater seaweed garden also is pretty sweet. And if anyone sees him, get him to post it on the Facebook group. Because I'd like to hear more about that.
Should I just reach out? As an action point, I could lead reaching out to Jez to just say, do you want to stick something on the Facebook group just in to share whatever his thing was, because he never really got a chance to speak about it. Yeah, I'll just encourage him to write something in that public space. Not that public, but okay.
Alright. Yeah, that's cool. I'd like that. That'd be brilliant.
Alright, I'll reach out to Jez and encourage him to share what he wanted to say in the meeting on Facebook.
Well, it sounded like the bit he was starting to say was that he really wanted to have a lot more actually community-owned areas, particularly for food and water production. And that's where the underwater seaweed garden was coming from, because it's hard to do food production in a city. Although water production and water gathering is definitely doable.
It sounds
also
like a sort of single issue thing, like Change the Future. I think well, I want to kind of avoid getting involved in single issue sort of proposals, because I want to focus my attention on catalysing proposals rather than getting drawn into any single ones. But let's maybe give him another chance to talk about how he sees it working with Change the Future as an idea catalyst.
Well, I mostly agree, but if people are fed and watered, that's their primary concerns needed, and it's quite an exciting sounding point, which can be good to bundle along. But I do mostly agree with you.
I mean, also, like, what if Change the Future, in a way, I'm just kind of thinking aloud now, but like, if Change the Future kind of begins to gather recognition and therefore legitimacy, you know, Caroline Lucas, Jason Kitcat know it now, some local councillors, you know, we know some galleries and TEDx, and the more sort of Change the Future sort of appears and the logo becomes recognisable and the name, maybe it can become increasingly more a vessel for people to do projects through, like a seaweed garden, which Jez might have tried to do on his own but struggled to get permission or trust from the council. You know, we can dub it as a Change the Future project, which in a sense it would be if he's kind of involved in Change the Future and it's in line with our goals.
I'm gonna say that's great. We should definitely put that on next week's agenda. I think
okay. On next week's agenda.
There's one last thing I'd like to do before we go. Then we'll go down on the agenda. I'd like to call on Leah again, because hi, you've stuck with us for 2 hours of
thanks, Leah.
Dense stuff. Yeah, thanks. This has been one of the more dense meetings that CTF has. This has been the most dense meeting that CTF has ever had. 2 hours is our limit, and this has been pretty intense. How did you find it? Was it all right? As someone listening to it?
Oh, it's all right. It's just wondering how to fit in and knowing what to say, which is hard. So I just stay and just watch it all unfold.
Yeah, it's quite good to be witness to something like this, I suppose, and then perhaps next time, if there is a next time, please let there be a next time. You'll have more of a bearing of how to involve yourself or what you might be able to offer.
Do you have a feeling of how Change the Future might be able to create a more inviting invitation for you to sort of get involved with something or contribute in any way?
Yeah, I just need to not be scared to actually speak.
I think I think usually I take it becomes a chair's responsibility to involve people when sometimes it's difficult to involve oneself. This was one meeting that I just didn't have the time to do that. So a small apology to you for not providing enough of a platform for that. I think I'll be better at that next time I get to be chair.
It's cool. It's cool.
Oh, with that, well then I'm going to go now and fall asleep, I think, probably.
That was just about wait. So just clarifying on the video thing. So
I've got another idea to add to that. That's all right. But how does everyone feel about like CTF Brighton, CTF Chesham? I'm from Chesham in Buckinghamshire. I'm moving back on Sunday. I'm thinking like I could start my own video channel, or just add it to the Change the Future channel, where I just literally get a group of friends together to talk, to introduce them to Change the Future, and get opinions, and just document opinions about it. Through that.
About Change the Future.
Yeah, like introducing it to people who have no idea, who are my age group.
Yeah.
It's wicked. Do it on the
You've got so many contacts from so many different places. I feel like it would be silly not to take advantage of that and just ask them to make videos of themselves talking about it. And like for me, Change the Future means, okay, I've got a problem in my life. What can I do to solve it? And then implementing that solution into your life and making it happen. And
with the help of others.
Yeah.
If that even needs Change the Future permission, I second it.
Yep.
Yeah, I second that. Yeah, whatever. Sure.
The more people who say, "Oh, this project sounds really valuable to me. I'd like it to happen," I think the better.
It's more than just a group, though. I mean, it's an attitude. I feel.
Yeah.
It needs to be.
But I wanted to clarify on the end of working groups. Are we making that part of the Change the Future process when we have a working group? To just like we appoint a minute taker and a chair, to have somebody responsible for ensuring a little mini video summarising what happened in that working group is recorded. Even if you go into the street and just talk to camera for like 1 or 2 minutes, just this is what we did in this session.
It would be brilliant if that could happen. Like, so amazing and concise. Like, I don't know anyone who would want to watch a 2-hour video. As explanatory as it is, a little bit convoluted, and like we get a bit lost and tangents come up and stuff. But to have a summary, a visual summary, as well as a written one in the form of minutes, would be amazing. On a weekly basis, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, let's hashtag CTF today as well. CTF today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I might as well lead that if that passes as like part of our protocol and process. I'll add it to the Trello card in the board called How Change the Future Does Things. I'll put it in the card for how we have working groups, and I'll add part of the protocol is that we end with a very short video, can be recorded on phone. I'm basically at every working group, so I can do that on my geek phone that's got a good camera. Done.
Hey. Okay. So yeah, like it's becoming my sign off, but I love you people. I'm gonna go now.
We love you
Joe,
too.
you too. Are amazing, mate. You are a formidable force.
That's the last thing he heard.
Is Daniel still there? Has he gone? Has he left us?
Tenerife?
Tenerife,
are you there?
Leah, it's just you now.
I don't know whether to leave or not.
Don't do it, Leah.
Too late.
Can you give us the first sort of 5-minute summary of what you experienced?
Quite scary.
Yeah.
And overwhelming at times, because there's
Yep.
just a lot of things and a lot of words that I still don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
But it's eye-opening to be involved in this, which is cool.
Mm.
And it's just thinking of ways that I can
try to avoid
get involved.
speaking with other people, but I think it's pretty safe.
What?
Leah? You've frozen.
No! Jumping off a cliff.
It's just us and Daniel now.
Daniel's space.
They're dropping like flies. Dropping like lemmings. I think Daniel's, I've not heard from him for a while. He seems pretty gone. I don't know what's happened, but.
I'm going to eject him.
Go for it.
Yeah, 2 of him.
You're being ejected!
There was 2 of him for a while. It's annoying that this isn't recorded, I don't think. Let's do a screen share so we've got this recorded permanently, just in case. So screen share is this and entire screen.
We could do like we hadn't interrupted her just at the last moment. I wanted to hear what she was saying.
Yeah, I
She didn't come back.
A real shame.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, you're quite good at interrupting. Perhaps almost too good.
What do you think if we did like every time we had a meeting as well? After, like just after this we do right now, we could like pose for a screenshot, and post it on the Facebook. Be like,
But
this is what we did.
Don't want to be good. I really don't want to be an interrupting person. I kept talking then because I quite often like it cuts out and then everyone does that. What? Huh? And that was like that was the last thing I wanted to say, and I was halfway through a sentence.
Well, also me several times this evening.
I'm going to stop
I
my
think we've all been fine.
Everyone happy?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we can end it.